We find ourselves in a very interesting moment of the liturgical year. You're familiar that the church has its own year. We have academic year from September to May, and then fiscal year and all kinds of years. And church year starts with the first Sunday of Advent, four Sundays before Christmas. But the journey that we took started even earlier, in the March 25th of the previous year, when we celebrated the Incarnation, the day when Father's Word became flesh, when Jesus assumed our humanity, when God became one of us. And it was already the work of Holy Trinity, because He's Father's Son. Obviously the Son is coming, and it was done through Holy Spirit. And the same can be said about Christmas celebrations. We celebrate, obviously, Jesus, but we celebrate as well God as Father. Isn't that beautiful? And then we continue, and then we entered Lent, which would be like this desert experience. And even then, before Jesus enters the desert, Holy Spirit in a visible way lands on him, and we hear the voice of the Father, "This is my beloved Son." What an encouragement. And then obviously we have all what Jesus did was the work of the Holy Trinity. Jesus said himself, "Who sees me sees the Father." And we see the same on the cross. When he exhales his spirit, he basically renders himself, "Father, in your hands I commend my spirit." And then on the Easter morning, the Spirit of life raises him up, and 40 days later he returns to the Father. And he says it because everyone gets sad about him leaving again. "We lost you already once." And Jesus says, no, it's good. It's actually very good for you that I'm leaving, because I will be here anyway, but you won't see me. But up to this point, I was with you, within you, among you. Just wait until the Holy Spirit comes. And then I'll be in you. From outside, you will... Well, up to this point, you saw the work of God outside. Now you will become the temple of the, not only Holy Spirit, but of the Holy Trinity. And it happens. We celebrated last Sunday, the day of the Pentecost. God fulfilled his promise. And what about now? Now it seems like the celebrations are over. And that's what I thought. Even as a young priest, I often preached about the feast of Holy Trinity as the only feast during the liturgical year that we can chill, relax, adore, admire. But it's like there's no action, because we celebrated so much works, all this economy of salvation. And here we just contemplate the God in his divine essence or something like that. But, oh boy, I was wrong. And what helped me a lot was an icon that you have probably seen. I happened to be in Moscow, in Tretyakov's gallery. All the VIPs were brought there. And at the time I was the General Secretary of Bishops' Conference, and we had this European meeting of the, well, that part meant, that didn't mean much, but the point is that everybody who is anybody gets to see that. Yeah. So we are getting in the gallery. There's a lot of art. There's a lot of things that have no value in money. So they are so special. And then there's this icon that is more than 6 centuries old, written by a Russian Orthodox monk, Andrei Rublev, who was asked to do the impossible, make an icon of Holy Trinity. And instead of drawing a triangle or 3 circles or whatever, he just depicted the story we read in Genesis, the first book of the Bible, Genesis 18, and that's why the icon technically is called the hospitality of Abraham, that there are these mysterious 3 angels that visit Abraham. You can maybe notice his house on the top left. There's this oak tree. In Mamre there's a little mountain. So this is what the picture is showing, but that is not what this icon is teaching. It's such a deep, theologically dense icon that we could literally spend 2 or 3 hours just naming the things that are there, and it won't be over. And obviously we will just scratch the surface now. And it looks pretty static. And if we have this idea that God is static, as the icon looks, it doesn't move a lot, we are very wrong. But we like this kind of static God. When we say, glory to the Father, and to the Son, and the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, without end, it's like God won't change. There's no change. Thank you. I'm happy. There's no movement. Everything in its right place. But this picture is not moving just because Andrei Rublev didn't have the technology of today. If he had artificial intelligence, he would make them dance. But, well, I could have done this, but that would be a sacrilege. But still, the icon, well, it's this big, so. And it's not made to be on the wall as a piece of art. It's made to be prayed at, or so you approach the icon, and here it is, and the genius of this monk was to add a lot of gold in the picture. And what happened when you come with your little candle and you put in the sand the bowl, or however they are arranging that. So you come with your candles. Some people prayed before, some people will come after you. And so there's all those little flames. And imagine what it does to the picture that is covered in gold. It just comes alive. We have this festival, Staru Riga, every year in November when it's very dark. The days are very short and there's no snow yet. And so all Riga becomes this festival of lights, and once they animated the stained glass windows of Dome Cathedral, such a beautiful thing when these stained glass windows come alive. And so for this icon, your prayer, the little candle you bring to your prayer makes it move, makes it alive. So that's absolutely beautiful. And if you have a bucket list, or what's the list of things to do before you die, before you meet the Holy Trinity in heaven, just it's worth praying in front of this icon. And so, what do we see in this icon? On the left, the angel on the left represents Father. And how do we know it? Because his undergarment is blue, and it's the sign of divinity, the color of divinity, but it's covered with an outer garment. This inner garment is covered with outer garment of gold. Well, the gold is gone, but the blue is still getting out. Yeah? You can still catch a glimpse of the blue. Yeah? And that's such a beautiful way to tell, well, no one has seen Father, but you can still feel His presence, you can see His works, you can still get there, even if it's covered for now. The one in the middle, obviously, is the Son, and we see that his garments are equal part blue, because he is God, his divinity, and this year we celebrate 1700 years of the council that proclaim it in such a beautiful way. He is God, and the other part is dark red, which is the color of us humans, the humanity, and the earth. And so he is equal part. He is true God and true human. And there's this tree of life, which is the symbol of the cross, the tree of the new life. And on the right, we have Holy Spirit. And again, you have the blue of divinity. It's the Spirit of God, Holy Spirit. But the green is the color of the new life. And in Orthodox liturgy, it's the color that is used for the feast of the Pentecost. So there's no doubt that this person on the right, even if it's in one of these three angels, is meant to be Holy Spirit. And then there's all kind of interplays. Where do they look? How are they positioned? And we won't go into that. It would take just too much time. But there's one thing that you could not miss, even from afar. And Andrei Rublev made sure that we don't miss that thing in the middle. You see the altar. They are sitting around the altar. And on the altar, there is this little chalice. And it's the Eucharist. It's the meeting point of God and the Church. And there's a lot that can be said about that. But then there's two more chalices in the picture. And once you have seen them, you cannot unsee. So spoiler alert, if you want to discover them by yourself, just leave now or close your eyes. The next chalice, where is it? It's this one, the whole middle. And Jesus is in the chalice. Chalice formed by Father and the Spirit, because never forget that the sacrifice is the sacrifice of God. It's not only Jesus who sacrificed himself. Oh, Father, in your hands I commit my spirit. It's Father who sacrifices his Son. That's a real sacrifice. That had never happened before. They were perfectly united, almost always in this dance, in this harmony, and suddenly Jesus is given. He is the blood that was poured. He is the flesh that was given for the salvation of the world. And some say that the conversation that the three persons are having is about the salvation of the world. And this chalice, Jesus, so this is the chalice of this is the sacrifice of God, because God is agape, and this is a sacrificial love. But then there's one more, and I can bet a lot of money that you will not find it by yourselves. And I think that's why things to do before you die is, it would be very helpful to get in front of that icon. Because the first thing that happens is the perspective changes, and suddenly it's all right, all the lines and everything. And if you are at the right point where you are supposed to be in front of this icon, you suddenly understand that you are at the table, that the fourth place, the Trinity, it's not a closed triangle, self-sufficient, but, well, it used to be, but it's opened. Yeah? God has opened his life. He has invited you into this life, into this dance, to be part of it. Like at the Eucharist, when we say at the end of the Eucharistic prayer, it's through him, with him, in the unity of the Holy Spirit, all glory and honor is yours, Almighty Father, forever and ever. That's the kind of doxology that we should sing, because we are part of it. And that our chalice is right there, the middle, on the bottom. And when you stand in front of that icon, it's like if you had brought this chalice. That's yours. Yeah? And to accentuate that, Rublev puts a little square just in the middle of the altar. Can you see that? Which is a reliquary, because the altars normally had they were built on the tombs of the saints, or sometimes have some relics in it, because basically if you want to be a part of this beautiful dance, you need to sacrifice yourself. You need to die, basically. Yeah? And Jesus taught openly that whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but if you sacrifice it, you will get this bigger life, yeah? This infinite life. And this little reminder there is to say, well, just as the saints before you did. Yeah. So you bring your chalice, you bring your life as a sacrifice, God brings his, and in this beautiful exchange we enter into this movement of the Church and the Holy Trinity that is, since the death and resurrection and the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, is the same life. We share the life with Holy Trinity. The Church has the same mission. We are discussing how to save the world. Yeah, we are just invited at the table to be a part of the discussion. We are part of this creation, salvation, and sanctification. We are part of that. And that's why it's so important, because the image we have of God will be the image we have of the Church. If you'll see God as someone solemn and frozen and whatever, that will be the Church that we will build. If we see God in this moving around, and this movement is jittering, this all kinds of, then we will be this kind of a church, alive, full of life, full of joy, full of love. A church that vibrates, like when you see, look in the telescope or microscope, everything moves and vibrates, and there's life everywhere. And so the church comes alive. And so this feast today is not about chilling out on just, okay, make a pause, just, okay, the work is over. No, it's just starting. But the condition is you have to put your life on this altar. So, shall we dance? I will dance, dance, dance with my hands, like Jesus said.